Have you ever felt like you don't quite belong in this world? Like you see things others don't? Maybe you sense emotions before people even speak, or strangers randomly open up to you, telling you their deepest secrets. It might feel strange, maybe even overwhelming, but what if I told you that this could be a sign of something much greater? A spiritual gift. The Bible is filled with stories of people who had divine abilities. Joseph could interpret dreams, Samuel heard God's voice as a child, and Daniel saw visions of the future. But here's the thing, most of them didn't realize they had a gift at first. Some even tried to run from it. So, how do you know if you have a spiritual gift? Today, we're breaking down 4 powerful signs that could mean God has placed something special inside you. And trust me, some of these might surprise you. Let's dive in. Extreme spiritual sensitivity, a gift or a burden? Have you ever walked into a room and immediately felt a strange energy, like something was off, even though everything seemed normal? Or maybe you've met someone for the first time and, without knowing why, you just felt something about them, like an inner alarm or a quiet whisper telling you to be careful, or to trust them completely. If this happens to you often, it's not just intuition. It could be a spiritual gift. Biblical example, Elisha and the invisible battle. In 2 Kings 6, the prophet Elisha's servant woke up one morning to find their city surrounded by enemy armies. He panicked. But Elisha? He was perfectly calm. Why? Because he saw something his servant couldn't. The hills were filled with angelic warriors, standing between them and the enemy. Elisha prayed, "Lord, open his eyes so that he may see." And suddenly, the servant's eyes were opened. He could see the spiritual realm that had been there all along. This is what happens to people with extreme spiritual sensitivity. They can sense what others can't. Modern signs you have this gift. You sense atmospheres instantly. You can tell when a place carries peace or heaviness, even if you don't know why. You pick up on people's true emotions. Someone might be smiling, but deep inside, you know they're struggling. You feel physically or emotionally affected by certain environments. Have you ever entered a place and suddenly felt anxious, drained, or even sick? That could be spiritual discernment kicking in. But here's the challenge, if you don't understand this gift, it can feel like a burden. Many people with spiritual sensitivity end up feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, or even thinking something's wrong with them. But the truth is, this ability is meant to guide and protect, not drain you. Have you ever experienced this? Drop a comment if this sounds like you. Now, this is just one sign, but the next one? It's something that has guided entire nations and changed the course of history. And it might be happening to you right now, while you sleep. Dreams and visions, messages from the divine? Have you ever had a dream so vivid it felt more real than reality itself? Maybe you woke up with a strong feeling, peace, warning, or even urgency, but you couldn't quite explain why. What if that wasn't just a dream, but a message? Throughout history, dreams have shaped the fate of nations, saved lives, and revealed hidden truths. Yet, in today's world, many people dismiss them as random thoughts. But in the Bible? Dreams were one of God's primary ways of speaking to his people. Biblical example, Joseph, the dreamer who saved millions. Let's go back to ancient Egypt, a land of towering pyramids and powerful pharaohs. It was here that a young Hebrew slave, Joseph, was thrown into prison, betrayed by his own brothers. But even in chains, Joseph had something that no one could take from him, a divine gift of interpreting dreams. One night, Pharaoh, the most powerful man in the world, had a terrifying dream. 7 fat cows were devoured by 7 sickly ones, and 7 healthy heads of grain were swallowed by shriveled, scorched ones. No one could understand it. But Joseph? He instantly knew what it meant. He told Pharaoh, "God has revealed to you what is about to happen." The dream was a prophecy. 7 years of abundance would be followed by 7 years of famine. Because of this warning, Egypt was able to prepare, stockpile food, and save millions of lives, including Joseph's own family, the future nation of Israel. But here's the crazy part: if Pharaoh had ignored that dream, history itself would have been different. Dreams that changed the course of history. Dreams haven't just shaped biblical history, they've altered the modern world, too. Albert Einstein's theory of relativity. Einstein once admitted that his breakthrough idea came to him in a dream, where he saw himself riding a beam of light through space. That vision led to one of the most groundbreaking scientific discoveries of all time. The sewing machine invention. Elias Howe, the inventor of the modern sewing machine, struggled for years to figure out how to design the needle. One night, he dreamt that he was being chased by warriors carrying spears, with holes at the tips. When he woke up, he realized the answer had been in front of him all along: the needle's hole should be at the point, not the back. Abraham Lincoln's assassination dream. Weeks before his death, Lincoln dreamt he was walking through the White House and saw a casket draped in black. He asked, "Who died?" Someone answered, "The president." He woke up deeply unsettled. Just days later, he was assassinated at Ford's Theater. Do you have this gift? Signs to look for. You have recurring dreams that feel significant. If a dream keeps coming back, it might not be random, it could be a message waiting to be understood. You've had dreams that later came true. Maybe you dismissed it as a coincidence, but what if it wasn't? What if it was insight before it happened? Your dreams often carry symbols or emotions that stick with you. Sometimes, God speaks in parables, even in dreams. The key is learning how to interpret them. How to sharpen this gift. If you suspect God might be speaking to you through dreams, start keeping a dream journal. Write them down as soon as you wake up. Over time, you might start noticing patterns, connections you never saw before. Have you ever had a dream that felt like more than just a dream? Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your experience. But here's something even more interesting. What if the reason people are drawn to you isn't just because of your personality? What if it's something deeper, something spiritual? Let's talk about that next. People are drawn to you, but why? Have you ever noticed that people, sometimes even complete strangers, just open up to you? They pour out their struggles, ask for advice, and somehow, you always seem to know exactly what to say. At first, you might think, I guess I'm just a good listener. But what if it's more than that? What if it's a spiritual calling? The biblical pattern: wisdom draws people. Look at Solomon, the wisest man who ever lived. People traveled from distant lands just to hear him speak because his wisdom wasn't just intelligence, it was divinely given. In 1 Kings 10, the Queen of Sheba came with hard questions, testing him. But after hearing his answers, she was left in awe. The same thing happens today. When people are drawn to you for counsel, it's often because they sense something in you: peace, wisdom, or even divine guidance. Signs this might be your spiritual gift. People constantly seek your advice, even on deep personal matters. You often feel words come to you when giving counsel, things you didn't plan to say. You leave conversations feeling like you've poured out something valuable. This isn't just personality, it's a responsibility. And here's the key: if God has given you this gift, He'll also equip you to handle it. But what if this gift also makes you a target? What if having a spiritual calling means you'll face battles others don't? That's exactly what we're talking about next. You face constant spiritual attacks, but why? Let's be real, if you have a spiritual gift, life isn't always smooth. In fact, it might feel like the opposite. Ever noticed how, just when you're about to step into something meaningful, obstacles appear out of nowhere? Maybe it's sudden discouragement, intense self-doubt, or even unexplained fatigue when you try to pray or seek God. This isn't random. It's a pattern. The reality of spiritual resistance. Throughout the Bible, every person with a divine calling faced resistance. Moses was nearly killed as a baby because Pharaoh feared his destiny. David was anointed king, yet spent years running for his life. Jesus himself was tempted directly by the enemy before beginning his ministry. Why? Because spiritual gifts make you a threat. If you weren't meant to do something important, you wouldn't be facing so much resistance. How to recognize spiritual attacks. Sudden waves of exhaustion, anxiety, or confusion, especially when seeking God. Unusual opposition or discouragement right before a breakthrough. Feeling isolated, like no one truly understands your struggles. But here's the truth, opposition is proof of purpose. The enemy doesn't attack what isn't valuable. If you're facing spiritual battles, it's because there's something inside you that matters. And that brings us back to the beginning. Maybe you've always felt different. Maybe you've sensed things others didn't, had dreams that felt real, or found people drawn to you in ways you couldn't explain. That's not a coincidence. The question isn't whether you have a gift, it's whether you're ready to step into it. If this video resonated with you, hit that like button and share your thoughts in the comments. Who knows? Your story might be the confirmation someone else needs.